Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Much has been said about EV batteries having a negative impact on the environment in several ways, but no one had addressed it until a startup called Nexus Power came up with an innovative solution for the same. Nexus manufactures rechargeable, bioorganic and biodegradable batteries out of agricultural leftovers, hence minimizing reliance on lithium while also reducing air pollution caused due to stubble burning.
Hi, I'm Nishita. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Nexus Power. Hi, don't get scared. We are monozygotic twins and hence identical. I'm Nikita and I am also the founder of Nexus Power. I came first? Of course. Let's get to some serious business. So we are the founders of Nexus Power, and at Nexus Power we make biodegradable batteries out of crop residue. So it typically happened out of one of those late night terrace conversations that me and Nikita were carrying on, and in this conversation we were actually discussing about the electric vehicle industry and typically the major problems that we've been facing around that, primarily from the Indian perspective, and that's how we realized that we actually do not have any cell manufacturing industry in India. We are heavily reliant on the imports from Chinese and the European markets, and this not only increases the price of the product of the cells, it also increases the price of the final product, which is either the electric vehicles or the other industry wherein the batteries are of primary importance. So apart from the issue with the import and lack of indigenous cell technologies, the problem is also a lot around the safety of these batteries. So if you go back to understand the news headlines in the last couple of years, the batteries have been subject to a lot of abuse and problems. So they have caught fire, they've had short circuits, and that is causing a lot of problem to human health and the environmental health. And at the same time, once the life cycle of these batteries are over, there is no proper way of disposing them off. So these batteries are simply left in landfills to naturally degrade and destroy, but sometimes they catch fire, they sometimes give out very toxic gases, and that itself troubles the environment and the humans. And that's where Nexus came in. That's how we stepped in to the entire space to look at opportunities and possibilities to make sure that we have a technology which answers to these major problems and gives you a solution which is not only safer, fully developed in India, totally indigenous, answering to the issues of the pricing problem, at the same time a clear disposal mechanism of a biodegradable cell. So that allows you to have a technology which answers to these problems, and at the same time we made in India with the technology and totally making sure that the sustainability and environment is intact. So in parallel space, while we were talking about these problems that the batteries have and how we could really take care of it and what we could do to improve the problem, we realized that there is a big concern in the northern parts of India, which is of the burning of stubble, crop residue in short. So people actually burn it, which causes a lot of air pollution. Now both Nishita and me, being sustainability fanatics and very in love with the environment, we really wanted to do something about that problem as well. Now here we had a situation where we were making our batteries. The initial research was with natural elements, and then we had crops, which is another kind of a natural product. It's a plant. So it was a very vague thought that we had in mind, that if we pick up that crop waste and we try and extract our raw material from there and then try to make batteries out of it, if whether it works for us or whether it could just be the right solution was what we randomly thought. And that's how we picked up some crop waste from around Bhubaneswar, where we are actually based. We tried to do our initial experiments. We extracted our raw material from this crop waste, where naturally KIT TBI came handy because they had all the equipments available, being a bionest for Government of India. We used their labs initially, and we did our first experiments. So when these raw materials got synthesized and processed into a proper working battery cell, that's how the Nexus loop got complete. So today, in nutshell, we make biodegradable batteries which are rechargeable out of crop residue. But let me tell you honestly, the journey has not been so beautiful and smooth. It has been a shaky ride, in fact, a roller coaster ride, if I say. When we started off, it was just the two of us, and we had to literally break each aspect of the business into multiple pieces to make sure that it comes together. It was a technology which typically is patent worthy. We hold about 50 odd patents today. So technically, when we started off 4 years ago, so to find the right talent and to find the right people who can build this chemistry and the cells together was very difficult. So it was difficult to find one person who had the expertise of doing it all together. So we had to break the entire process into multiple channels and then try and find talent for those multiple channels and then bring them together. So that's one of the major challenges that we faced when we started off, primarily from the talent and the hiring perspective. So it was very important to hire people who align with the same values, who understand the vision and who also align with the vision, and they believe that they can create the impact. So it was not us who had to do it, it was the team which had to believe that they could do it. It was their minds, it was their thought, which had to believe that they could do it. And that was one of the most difficult tasks that I faced so far in my journey. And apart from that, if I talk about how it shaped up for us, so we eventually started from being from 2 to about 7 to then 10, and today we are about 30 members in the last 4 years. And it's not only about the challenges around hiring people, there were multiple more challenges, and I'm sure Nikita can give you more insights on the operational side of it. Not just the operational side. I think I'll start with the finances first. So finances was my part, no? Wasn't it? Yeah, but okay, I'll let you start take it. with Go that. We're hiring people, and it's very natural that you have to pay them. And it's not just for people; it's also for the operations that we do. Day in and day out, we have to procure your raw material, process it, and the use of equipments and all of that. So that involves a lot of money. And when you start a company, you're naturally into finances. So definitely for us, freshly out of college, headstrong to be entrepreneurs, start our own company, but there's not much of financial backing because freshly out of college, so not much of corporate experience. So we had to really think of ways to build this financial backing for the company, and thankfully, Government of India at that point of time was into promoting and pushing startups with all of their schemes, where they were giving multiple grants through Startup India, through the Department of Science and Technology, through the Department of Biotechnology, where we somehow could fit. So that's how probably we started. In fact, I'm sure Nishita will elaborate more on finances. As she mentioned, let's talk about operations. The first thing, to be very honest, both of us are not core science graduates. So we come from a management graduate point of view, both of us, and to step into R&D and hardcore science and technology, the first thing that we had to do was understand these terminologies. All of that jargons that we get in doctoral papers and journals, and even the people what they talk about generally, sometimes it used to fly over our head. So we had to actually sit down and take up master's certification courses from multiple premier institutes of the country and understand what we were getting into. So once we done these courses in nanotechnology, in electric vehicles, drivetrain, and CMOS sensors and all of that, we technically equipped ourselves with the space that we were getting into, with all the jargon, so that tomorrow when we speak to our team, at least they know that we know what we are doing, and we also know what they are trying to tell us. So operations, yes, initially was tad bit difficult because we had to mingle with PhD graduates who are technically also older to us in age. So you understand how it works when you have founders who are younger to your team members in terms of experience and in terms of education qualification as well. You have doctoral PhDs, and then you have just freshly MBA grads coming out of college. So there's a lot of clashes that happens. In fact, I remember a couple of clashes between the teams, the procurement team and the research team, where the procurement guys wouldn't understand what the research guys are trying to say. The research guys wouldn't clearly be able to accept the product that has been ordered in terms of research. So these are a couple of problems that we face, and I think we've grown as a company eventually. Today, we exactly know how to deal with these problems. I'll take you away from operations. Now we go back to finances. And believe me, finances is one very important aspect of a business. So if, the only way you sustain and keep growing is when you have your car full of petrol and keeps you running. You cannot travel the kilometers without that fuel, and finance is one of those fuels. Not petrol, charge for us. Sorry, full of charge. Sorry, we are sustainable electric vehicle guys. Yes. So for us, it is a full charge battery. So you only keep going in your kilometers when you have a full charge battery, and that finance is the full charge battery for us, right? Yeah, right. So primarily when we started off, it was two of us, and it was some amount of our savings and family backing that we started off with. Eventually, there had to be ways to pull in finances because it was an R&D heavy company. It needed some time before it could go into revenues and give you money for what you're trying to do. And it's a company where you have to understand that at least 5 years of your operations, you will actually not be into revenues and you have to be burning cash. So we started off with our family savings, tried to build initial prototypes and synthesize the material. Post which is where a lot of these Government of India grants and Government of Odisha grants came in, which really benefited Nexus in multiple ways. So we started off with the smallest of the grants from the Ministry of Electronics and IT. It was an entrepreneur in residence grant that was typically a grant which would just foster entrepreneurship in the founders to try and help them build what they look at as an idea. And from there, the journey has been beautiful. I mean, it was one grant which led to the other, which led to the other. So we have multiple different grants and we fit the eligibility criteria well. So that we are very fortunate that way. So we have grants from the Ministry of Electronics and IT, from Department of Science and Technology, from the Department of Biotechnology, under their BIG BIRAC Council. We have grants from Government of Odisha under multiple of their programs. And I think one of the most beneficial programs for us, we've been a part of KIT University with the Technology Business Incubator. So that has also helped us grow in terms of technology, because when you look at hardcore research and development, it's not only about the team, about the people, about the product, but it's also the equipment that helps you build that product. So because we have KIT TBI as a Prayas center from DST, they are a BioNest from DBT. So multiple of these equipments which we would have spent almost crores in setting up, and of course the entire 1 year, 1.5, 2 years of the commissioning time was saved because they had the equipments, and that allowed us to fasten the process and build the product. So today, with all this backing from the government, from the KIT University and TBI, and fortunately with a bunch of investors, private equity investors on the cap table, we've been able to scale up, build multiple prototypes, build our cells, our batteries, and from there now we're constantly growing. So we've presently been in touch with multiple OEMs, and we are targeting the electric vehicle industry as well as the renewable energy stationary grid storage industry, which is a huge industry as far as energy storage and electricity consumption is concerned. So that's our major target area, and we are focusing on these areas to provide a sustainable battery, which not only allows you to talk about the renewable sustainability part of it from the vehicle perspective, but also from the component, because that completely greens the entire cycle. So if you talk about a circular economy, that's where we come in handy, where our batteries are not only sustainable, they are also at par in performance. And we've been able to build this technology with the entire team come together, and all of these multiple different people who've come in between for the hand holding, and they've helped us progress with the finances, with the right team, with the guidance, and with all of it coming together. In fact, naturally, we are currently undergoing trials in the market, and we're testing our batteries at a large scale to make sure that we give the right product to the market, and we have something which people can really trust and depend on, because something like a battery technology, it's fresh, it's new, it's absolute fresh R&D. It involves a lot of patents, so we also want to be sure that what we give to the market is not something that could harm them eventually, and it's absolutely safe. So as Nishita said, we want it from cradle to grave to be completely biodegradable. That's what the idea is. And if I would talk about timelines, I think we are roughly, say, 8-10 months away from commercially selling these batteries, which probably would be one of the biggest milestones that we would like to hit this financial year, maybe next financial year. It's a journey, and every journey has its own time, own space. But it begins with a single step, and I believe we have just begun our journey, and it's going to progress. We are looking at a long way to go from here. But we're really hoping that the technology that we're trying to build, the kind of effort the team has put in, the kind of minds and the thought that has come in to build the product, we are hoping that we are able to reap benefits eventually, and we look at not exactly replacing existing technologies. That's not the whole idea, but the idea is to fill the gap and to make sure that you have a product which is fully indigenous, from India, made in India. Typically, it's giving you the benefits of the technology that you need, the kind of performance you are aiming at, and at the same time answering the disposal problem and multiple other problems. So I think it's more like a made in India for the world technology, and we're hoping that it really progresses and we reach our deadlines and we're able to go commercial in the next 8 to 10 months. So absolutely, we've spent roughly 4 years, and in this journey so far, there are two things that I have learned personally as an entrepreneur. I mean, of course, a lot from her, because she, being the older twin, naturally is more responsible in the company. I barely get credit. I'm happy about it now. Shying away from saying that I have been that kid in school who's really copied all her assignments all my life. Sorry to my teachers, but I'm sure they already know it. But typically, there's it gets a lot easier when you have a co-founder with you, especially somebody who you spend a lot of time in life with. So you can really, you have somebody to depend on all through the journey, and documentation, compliances. There's so many things, and I'm sure it's always easier when you have a co-founder. So people looking to start up their own companies, it's always wise to have co-founders and co-founders with expertise in different fields, so that multiple brains can come in to think about all different aspects that a company might need. Because it is possible by one person also, no doubt, but it somehow, for me, I believe it gets easier when you have a co-founder. Secondly, something that I personally really believe is, entrepreneurship is not just about having enough money or having a very different idea or having the right team. It's so much about the emotional strength that the founders have. There are plenty of highs and lows throughout the journey. There are plenty of things that pull you down, that push you high. So the emotional graph has to be linear throughout. That's really, really important. And that's how I think, because we have a team looking at us, so it's how emotionally we handle a situation is how the team deals with it. So the emotional graph has to be linear for all founders looking to start their own companies. Lastly, from my side, I'll then leave it to Nishita, is it's very important to challenge yourselves to go ahead and push that limit that you've set for yourself. There's a saying that we've heard and we really follow, which says that I'll cut you here before you
okay.
go there.
Okay.
I'll want to give you a couple of things from the technical side, which is primarily from the paperwork and from the record keeping of the business. So we spent 4 years, and what I've realized in my journey is it's very important that all your paperwork, your finances are intact. Because when you're dealing with so many government organizations, when you're dealing with private investors, when you're dealing with multiple such stakeholders, and you're only growing with time, it is very important that all your paperwork from day one is always intact. Because you miss one sheet of your paper, and it really comes back to you multifold. And we've experienced that, and we know how difficult it is to go back and set things right, which you probably should have done back then, but simply missed out because it was more like a casual attitude or something which didn't sound important at that time. So my only suggestion for budding entrepreneurs who really want to build their businesses, apart from being emotionally stable and trying to build your team, and because you're doing everything together, please make sure that all your paperwork documentation is 100% on point and perfect, so that next time if you have to get into government grants, maybe even private investors, you have everything in place and you don't have to go back and set it right. So that's definitely one thing that you should make sure that you take care of. And secondly, as an R&D company, it's very, very important for us to record each and every experiment that we do. One thing that goes wrong, to go back and find out what we did wrong, it takes multifold effort to again go back and restart the entire business. So apart from just being stable is, yes, very important, holding a team, hiring, and that is very challenging. But this part, I think, is something which is very important as a founder. So you have to have all your paperwork definitely in place. It's a tough world out there, and entrepreneurship is a tough job, to be honest. It takes a lot to be a founder and to be an entrepreneur. It's a day full of ups and downs. Sometimes we are very happy, we are meeting deadlines and meeting our milestones. Sometimes it just pulls you down because you try everything you can do and you make sure that you're able to reach, you're taking the right path, but somehow still not able to reach your goals. And it keeps happening very often as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. Sometimes you try everything and you do everything from your side, but it's the external factors that sometimes delay you. So there are multiple different aspects as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. And to all the women out there who really want to start, I think it's a golden opportunity, and it's very beautiful to be founders, specifically women and entrepreneurs, because there are multiple benefits, opportunities, and spaces to explore. And I think as women, it's important that we also have our power and we show our skills and we make sure that we are able to do what we really aim to do. It's not only about starting a company or being a founder or doing something really tech heavy and trying to create a different kind of a mark. From the smallest of it, even if it's all about the independence and the individual aspect of a personality. So as women, even if it's just about going out and trying to do something different, I think that's very important that we take that step and we go forward, cutting across all challenges, all problems. I think it's very important that we keep crashing those glass ceilings and we keep going higher and higher and achieving what we aim to do as women. I think I really believe it's just about people and how you want to challenge yourselves. Being in your comfort zone is obviously not going to be everything that you want for yourself in life. You have to step up, and we all have dreams. We all want to achieve things. To get there, it's really important to take that first step. And there's something that both of us really believe in, and I'd like to share that across. It's a saying that says a ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what it is built for. So you have to step out and you have to challenge yourself if you really want to sail across in the high seas.